Hey everybody, how are you today? Have you ever been, which I'm sure you have, in a place where your future is really uncertain or things have just turned your life upside down and you kind of feel like things are a mess and it's pretty scary? As some of you know, I'm going through some of this. I'm on day 60 of my 100-day experiment, which started when my husband and I separated. And I have a lot of uncertainty, including where to live and how to make money and all these kinds of goodies. And as day 60, getting closer to the 100th day, which is the amount of time that I've rented this home and kind of was the thinking period of seeing how things would evolve. Well, now I'm beyond the halfway point, and this is not coming crashing down, but I'm beginning to feel kind of that pressure building up. And if I'm not careful, these fears could kind of overtake me and make me look for solutions really quickly, solutions, because I'm kind of afraid of what's going to happen. And when we are, it's kind of scary to just surrender and say, just allow. I was talking to my mom a couple of days ago, and she's going through things too. She's almost 88 years old, and she's going to have to move. She has to move and go somewhere where she'll be alone. And she was going through a lot of anxiety too. And I kind of reminded us that we know of instances in our lives when things seem to be going not well and we don't like what the future may be. And in the end, it kind of turns out well. So I'm going to share 3 here with you. About 10 years ago, I was living in Vancouver and trying to build a business. It sounds very familiar. Trying to build a business, being sick, running out of money. The big threat while I was trying to figure things out was that voice coming down and saying, if you don't figure it out, you're going to have to move back in with your mother. And the real feeling behind this is you're going to be a failure, right? So that was the real fear. But the threat was you're going to have to move back home. You're going to have to go live in her apartment. And this actually happened. By the time that I did move back in with my mother, I had come to a great place of peace and acceptance and actually love. And I moved in with her with love for her, even love for life and my situation, because I showed up with an open heart. So that was part 1. But the really interesting part was that was already a win. But after moving back in with my mother, like on the East Coast, moved in from Vancouver, I actually met my husband within 2 months. And if I hadn't been there, that wouldn't have happened. Now, I know we're separating right now, but it was still an extraordinary time, and we had extraordinary things and a lot of joy and love that happened during our time together. Another example, I know a woman, her father died, and she had been taking care of her elderly mother, a serious curmudgeon, okay, that. She was a grumpy old woman that really made her life actually quite difficult, painful, created rift in the family. And the woman I know actually started drinking, and it was really destructive. But she saw no out because she also has a golden heart. And for her, it was her responsibility and duty, I guess. And she felt that she wanted to take care of her mother and didn't see a way out of there. Well, a little while ago, hey, if you think other people could benefit from the messages in my videos, the best way for them to get to see it is for you to subscribe, give me a like, write a comment, or even share. Thanks. She fell and broke her arm. And for a moment, I can imagine, it must have been, oh my God, like on top of everything else, now I break my arm and I have to continue with life with a new challenge added to it. But what actually came of this is that the services that were checking in on her mom sometimes, because she required so much care, they told my friend that she could no longer take care of her mother in the state she was in, that she needed to take care of herself, and that her mother was going to be placed in an old person's home and she would be taken care of. So it's always this idea of things we don't want to have happen in our life that have a blessing in them that we don't see when things are happening. I have another amazing example of this. My niece, a year ago, her and her boyfriend, they're in their 20s, they moved to a place on the St. Lawrence River into a community that they were really drawn to. They're very artistic and kind people. And they had just settled in an apartment, and I think they had been there for 10 days, and a fire started and they lost everything. She's a graphic designer. He works with traditional wood tools and builds furniture, and everything burnt down. They're young. They didn't have any insurance. The computers were in there. They came out with, the keys. They moved the car, had the wherewithal of moving the car to save it from the fire. And that's all they had with them. Big tragedy. What happened after that is that the community rallied around them, and they got offered a place to live for free for a year with a view of the St. Lawrence River and sunsets. And people in the community started helping them, donating. Then they got hired, her as a graphic designer, him to build furniture. And a year later, they are the most fulfilled and happy and surrounded and part of the community. It's better than what they had dreamed of. My niece was telling my mother a few days ago, we are known from everybody. People call me by name everywhere I go. We have work lined up for months, and life is just absolutely glorious. So there are like 3 lessons I draw from this that I want to share. One is, let's try to stop judging the events that we don't like that are happening in our lives, because we do not know where they will lead. In a way, we can look at it like, wow, this is so messed up that something's going to come out of it, and I can't wait to see the strength that I'm going to find in me and the ways that life will surprise me. It's also going to lower suffering, right? A lot of our suffering is because we worry and we resist what is. Number 2, it kind of goes along with it, but we have to practice trust. If we trust that life will take care of us in some way to make us move forward in our growth and our evolution, trusting also relieves pressure, because when we trust, then it's not like up to us to figure out everything. And that brings a lot of relief. It's also less stressful, which is going to allow us to think more clearly. And from clearer thinking, we might think of solutions that we wouldn't have thought otherwise. So all around, if we choose and practice trusting, not all the time, we're human, it's impossible, unless you're a master. But if we practice it consciously, then we open up a little bit to possibilities. And 3 is kind of to remember that the unknown, that place of uncertainty, is actually a space where the greatest opportunities can occur. We can recognize that place of uncertainty and unknown not only from maybe the panic that is rising through us, but it's also the place where we say, I don't know what to do. Kyle Cease has a great phrase that is, I don't know what to do, and I love it. Interesting. The greatest surprises come from this place of unknown. If we embrace the unknown and make space, then it's life, it's the all that isness, it's God that can come and use this space to create things that we couldn't even have imagined with our minds. Let's not jump into solutions mode right away, because as soon as we go into solutions mode, we are closing up the space, and God doesn't have much space to go in, because then we're filling that space with things to do. And if we fill up that space, then there is no more room for God to come in and orchestrate things that we couldn't have orchestrated ourselves. So there are a few things to remember for these beautiful things to happen. It's 1, have less judgment for the events that are occurring in our lives. 2, practice trust. 3, allow the unknown to be and sit with it before jumping onto trying to find solutions. So let's take a few deep breaths. Annie, breathe. Stop resisting. Stop judging. Have some faith, trust. Remember that out of crazy situation, great things happen, and embrace this time of uncertainty and unknown, knowing that you are allowing for things to happen through you and not by you. That's my thinking for today. Bye.